everyone and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be talking about the pros and cons of the Disney housing like apartment complexes, as well as each different complex and kind of how they differ. And then I'm also going to talk about bringing a car, because I brought a car but I know a lot of people who didn't. And yeah, let's talk Disney. Before I begin this video, I would like to mention that I have an upcoming trip to Disney World in August, and it's not a big one. We're kind of doing like a Florida vacation and then doing Disney for 4 days, so 1 day for each park, and then we're also doing Ohana for breakfast the next day because we have a late flight, and then the first day we get there we're kind of just doing Disney Springs. So I guess technically it's more like kind of 6 days at Disney, kind of not. But if you watched any of my recent videos that I uploaded about my Disney college program, like kind of recap, and it was a bunch of like pictures and random videos with music set behind it and everything, there was some GoPro footage, but that actually is not mine. It was my roommate's. She had a GoPro, and I was gonna buy a GoPro before my Disney college program, and I just didn't. So I really wanted a GoPro for this trip so I could try to like take better video. So I went out and I got, it's not a GoPro, it's an Akaso, I believe that's what it's called, and I also got a wrist strap for it. But it was a cheaper version of a GoPro, and I want to say for the whole set it was like $79 for like this, and it came with a whole bunch of different like mounts to put it on. So I plan on using this, which I'm excited about, so hopefully I can like actually video rides and stuff like that. And also, although I'm not like a big vlogger, just because I am the most awkward person ever, and I feel like me vlogging in public just is not a good idea. So what I'm going to be doing for my upcoming trip is I'm going to use my phone and try to do like little introductions to each day, and then kind of like outros to each day where I sit down and I talk about like, you know, what I'm going to do that day or what I did that day, and like maybe spontaneously like vlog a little bit. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But definitely I got a camera that's like a GoPro so I can actually film more. So if you are interested in seeing that, that should be coming up probably like the end of August. I'll probably start uploading that stuff because I will have to like edit it, and I don't know how much footage I'm going to get, so I don't know if it's going to be like a one-time shot where I just show you everything in one video, or if I split it up in between days. I'm also probably going to film Clearwater, because we're going to Clearwater Beach, a little bit, but I'm not too sure about that. I'll probably like try to video like travel day and stuff like that. I don't really know. I'm going to wing it, but I just thought I would let you guys know in case you were interested. So now into the actual topic, which is pros and cons of the Disney housing complexes. Now first I'm going to start off with just in general, staying on Disney property versus not. Now, the first thing that I want to say that was like pros, because I'm going to start with pros, what's good about it, because overall in my opinion, if I had to do it again, I would stay on Disney housing. Because number one reason for me doing that is it's so convenient, because you don't have to worry about, am I going to find a place in time? Because you know, regardless, you have that option for Disney housing. So for me, it was, I don't know anyone going into this, you know, if I find roommates, I find roommates, but if I don't, like, it's no big deal because I'm staying on Disney housing, in Disney housing. So basically, my biggest thing was I want to know that when I get to Florida, I have somewhere to stay. And that was the main reason for me. It's kind of just really easy to go and get Disney housing. The next reason is kind of what I just said, but not really, which is roommates, because I didn't want to have to go find my own roommates. I was thinking about doing random, and then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna add myself to some of these Disney groups, see if I can find roommates, but if I can't, no big deal, I'll go random. And I'm so glad that I found the girls I did, because they are super sweet and I love them. Although, because I guess when I was coming in, there was like an overflow, so unfortunately you can only link up with 2 other people, and there were 4 of us, so we decided to split 2 and 2, but I'm still very thankful that I had that roommate, and I ended up with great roommates anyway, so it wasn't an issue for me. But I know some people have had horror stories with bad roommates doing random, so if you are staying on Disney housing, I would say try to find roommates, but if you can't, it's no big deal, and you can try to go random with roommates. Next is that the rent comes out of your paycheck. So you don't have to worry about going and spending all of your money at Cast Connections if you're me, because that's literally all you do is you spend your money at Cast Connections, you spend it on Mickey pretzels, you spend it on Disney merchandise. Any way your money can go back to Disney, that's probably how you're going to spend it if you're anything like me. So, thankfully, staying on Disney property, it is not a problem because your rent is taken out every week. I'm also going to talk about rent prices in a second, but yeah, that's a plus. It gets taken out, so you don't have to worry about going out and spending it and then saying, oh no, where did my rent money go? Another reason is you know that it's going to be close to the parks. Me, working at Epcot, I lived in Chatham, but ultimately, people say like Vista, because Vista is kind of like, for those of you who don't know, is a little bit further away from the other 3 complexes, which I'll also get into later, but pretty much all of the complexes are about 15 to 20 minutes away from a park, and pretty much resort areas, because all of that's kind of in the Disney bubble. So you know it's close, whereas if you find roommates that are living somewhere else, you might find that you have a longer drive. So definitely it's close to Disney, which is nice. Another thing is these Disney housing options are fully furnished. So whereas if you are renting somewhere, you know, off Disney, you don't know. I mean, maybe you're renting from a place that is fully furnished, but you might not be, and then you need a giant moving truck, or because I don't know where you're coming from, but you might need a giant moving truck, or just it might be a hassle to carry all that stuff down or up or wherever you're traveling from and then back. Here's some cons to living on Disney property. The first one, and a major one, which is the whole reason I didn't want to stay on Disney property in the first place, is that no matter what complex or how many people you live with, you will always share a room with at least one person. Now in Chatham, everything in Chatham is bunks. So whether you're a 6-person or you're an 8-person, you're gonna have bunks. And my thing was I did not want to be up in the top bunk, but of course, where was I? I was in the top bunk. But I did not like the idea of having to share a room. Now, this is the Disney College program. I went to community college, and then when I transferred to 4-year university, I was in an apartment and now I'm in a house. So I never at any point had to share a room with anybody. And I mean, I'm an only child, so never in my life have I had to share a room with somebody. If you're someone who did 4-year college and you had to stay in dorms, you're probably used to it. It's no big deal. So I did not like the idea of having to share a room with at least one person. But, so that was a huge thing for me, is not wanting to share a room. I kind of wanted my own space to come home from work and be able to just relax in my own room, which wasn't really possible, but at the same time, none of us really had the same schedules. So in a way, it kind of worked out because we all kind of had some alone time at some point. Once again, with the roommates is number 2. You might get bad roommates, but once again, that's like a pro and a con, because at least you have roommates versus not having any or not finding, you know, housing at all and being stuck in Florida with no place to stay. But that is a con, is that you could get bad roommates. Number 3, strict rules and room checks. So another thing that goes along with Disney housing is twice, I think we had it twice. That could always change, but room inspections are a thing. We had them once in the, like right into fall, pretty much kind of around when we first got there, and then one closer to the end of our program / I think it was like around Christmas, I believe. but they do room checks, so basically making sure everything is like the Disney look, your floors are clean, your trash is taken out, you know, your tubs are wiped down, toilets are clean, bathrooms clean. Like, they have a checklist and they check off to make sure everything's clean. Obviously, if you're living on your own, that's not a problem. Personally, I don't like to live in a pigsty, but even if you don't, Disney can always find something wrong. So, not that it's gonna really matter. The only ways it's gonna matter is if you really mess up and your room is really, really bad, or your apartment is really, really bad, because then you will get fined for it. But obviously, living on your own, you don't have to worry about that because your room can be as dirty as you want. And then with strict rules, what I mean by that is if you are a participant in the Disney College Program and you want to visit somebody in a different complex, you can go hang out, show them your ID, they'll let you in, and you can hang out until, I believe, 2 a.m. However, if you are not, you can only remain on the premises for, I believe it's until 1 a.m. I could be wrong, correct me if I am, but I believe it's until 1 a.m. and you have to get signed in. They also said to sign people out, but I never actually had to sign anyone out. But so yes, you do have to sign people in so they know who exactly is coming in, and there's a certain amount of time that they can stay. Granted, if someone from another complex comes in and they're there past 2 a.m., I don't really see how they would know if they were there unless like one of your roommates said something or something like that. Another strict rule is the alcohol rule. So Disney's very strict on 21 and up living together, and then if you're not, you have to live in a wellness apartment. Now, you can be over 21 and live in a wellness apartment. What that means though is that you cannot drink in the apartment and you cannot have alcohol. So if you are over 21 and you get caught with alcohol in the wellness apartment, you still get in trouble for that, because even though you're over 21, you signed an agreement that you were in a wellness apartment and you will not be drinking. Next is they may lack amenities or certain things you need. So although they say, you know, there's like enough stuff and it's like fully furnished, it is, but we found when we got there we were missing a lot of pots and pans, and even when we actually got all the pots and pans, it still wasn't enough for as many of us living there. And another problem was the chairs. They don't give you enough dining room chairs. So we had 5 and there were 6 of us. And I think I've heard of people who have literally had 4 when there are like 6 or like 8 of them. So there weren't enough chairs, which did kind of suck. But at the same time, we weren't ever kind of eating all together, so it never really mattered per se. All right, next I'm gonna be talking more on the topic of like the complexes themselves and how they differ. So for those of you who don't know, there are 4 complexes. There's Vista Way, Chatham Square, the Commons, and then Patterson. I stayed at Chatham, which I've mentioned before. I really wanted the Commons. That was my first pick. My second pick was Patterson. My third pick was Vista, and my 4th was Chatham. So I got stuck in, and honestly, when you rank them, because they give you an actual like sheet to fill out, when you rank them, you rank like, okay, I want a 2-bedroom, like 4-person at the Commons. And you like are very specific as how you rank them. I'm pretty sure the 6-person 2-bedroom at Chatham was ranked second to last for us, and we still got it. But overall, I am thankful now that I did, because rent was the cheapest we could get away with. I think when I was there, it was, I want to say it was like $99. I think it was like $99 or something. It was either $99 or like $109 or something like that. But definitely it was the cheapest. And the most expensive would be at Commons, which would be a 1-bedroom, 2-person. So now I've even lost track. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. Okay, that's what I was talking about. So one of the major things for me, which is why I picked the Commons as my first choice, is they are the only ones with washers and dryers in your apartment. All of the others are communal, and you have to go out to them. Now I know Chatham had 2 different sections where, not 2 different sections, I swear there are more than that. I gotta check up on that. I don't remember how many exactly there were, but there were like different washer dryer stations kind of like scattered throughout like the complex itself, but they're nice and they're not. So it's nice because you can wash like 2 separate loads. You can do your darks and your lights at the same time, and you don't have to wait for it to finish, or you don't have to wait for a roommate to be done. The bad part is everybody kind of decides to do their laundry at the same time you are because everybody works. So if it's their day off, they're gonna be doing laundry. If they just got off work, they're gonna be doing laundry. I found that doing my laundry during the day is the easiest, but of course when you're off, you want to go to the parks and stuff, and then when you're like me and you work and you get off late, you end up doing it at like 10 or 11 at night when it's packed and everyone's there. Another problem is like the washers lock, but the dryers don't. So people have had their clothes stolen out of dryers before, so I would always sit there and wait for it, whereas if you're in your own like apartment, you generally don't have to worry about your roommate coming and taking your stuff out, because you'll know that it was someone in the house who did it. So next is that Chatham and Vista Way are the only 2 to get buses. Now the reason that they're the only 2 is because Vista is across the street and a little ways down from where the other 3 are. So the other 3 sit around each other and you can walk to all of them. Now Patterson and Chatham are literally like right next to each other. So if you needed to hop on a bus in the front of Chatham from Patterson, it's a very easy walk. There's really no need for Patterson to even have a bus because they're just so close. Commons is a little further down, so it's a bit longer of a walk, but it's still not terrible. So if the bus thing is what's scaring you, I would still much rather have been like in the Commons with a washer and dryer and had to walk a little bit to the bus, because it really wasn't all that bad. And if you take a car, then you don't even have to take the bus if you don't want to. Chatham is also the cheapest. So it does kind of work itself out, because then I had extra money to spend at gas connections or, you know, on things that I probably didn't need, but you do save money that way, so it's not too terrible. The next thing is Vista. So Vista is known to be the party complex. My whole time that I was there, I mean, I never really spent a lot of time at Vista, but people that I knew that lived there said that isn't really true. I mean, it's just like any other complex, I feel like. I'm pretty sure like Chatham, I don't know, it's either Chatham or Patterson. One of them has the name of like the old person complex because nothing ever happens there. But I don't know. I feel like if you're looking for a party, you can find it. So if you're not, you probably won't. That's how I view it. I don't know. If you have any views on that, let me know in the comments, because I've heard multiple things about that. Next thing about Vista is Vista has the main clubhouse. So for example, when there's anything like you need to like go to like get, obviously not a package, because any package can be picked up at your own clubhouse. But for example, when you did the Alumni Association and you wanted to go in person to sign up, that's where you would go. They also have the like computer rooms and stuff like that. So if you need anything like that, or you want to check anything like DVDs out or books, that's where you go. And then also I find that any like big event that you need to like go to do something or register for is always at Vista. Which brings me back to Chatham. Chatham is where all of the classes are held. So if you are very interested in taking a class while you're there, the classes are in like club rooms that we have near the pool. So that way you'd be closer to the classes if you stay at Chatham. So that's pretty much most of like the pros and cons slash me just rambling on endlessly about all of the different things that the complexes have, and I'm sure I'm missing something, because when I was originally like doing all this and going through all this, which was pretty much a year ago around this time, I knew more about it than I really do now, because now it's over. I already stayed. I apologize if this looks weird. My camera just ran out of memory, so now I'm trying to remember where I was at in all of this. But as I was saying, I know most about like where I stayed, So that's kind of what I know and how I based off like where I was gonna stay and what I wanted based on like the things that I just told you. But now I'm gonna jump into a different topic, which is taking a car, because I was very on the fence about this for a while, whether I wanted to or not. And originally when I thought about doing the Disney College program like a few years prior, I originally wanted to do it in Disneyland in California, in which I would not have taken my car because that's like coast to coast. Like I did not want to take my car for that, and I wouldn't have taken my car for that. But because it was Florida, I was like, okay, I could drive to Florida. It would be a long drive, but then I would have my car. But then I also thought that's an extra expense that I really don't want to have to pay for while I'm there, because gas, you have to get a parking pass, which isn't that expensive. I think it was like $150, but overall, like, do I really want to take my car? Am I really gonna need it? Personally, I would say I needed my car. So I am very glad that I took my car, because when we originally got there, we took the bus probably like 3 solid times before we realized this isn't gonna work. And another reason I say that is because this was before I even began working. This was just taking it to parks for fun. So when you find out your work location, you can go and get a little bus schedule from either Vista or like Chatham, wherever you're going, or you can download the Disney Transtar app on your phone, which will tell you kind of when buses are arriving, like roughly. Now, a lot of the bus routes are combined with things. So I haven't taken a bus in quite a while, but I believe I know Epcot has its own bus, which was a plus for me. But you have things like Boardwalk, Yacht and Beach Club, and like things in that area that have multiple buses, and then sometimes it's not even in that area. Like, I'm pretty sure Animal Kingdom stops at West Clock, which is the stop for Magic Kingdom for Disney cast members. So you kind of got a lot of stops. Plus, at random points in the day, they switch off drivers, and you have downtime where the bus is just sitting at Vista Way for like 20 minutes and it's not going anywhere. And if you're not staying at Vista Way and you're at the Commons, they pick you up first, so now you're just sitting there waiting. So we found the first night we went to go to Boardwalk to get some drinks, and it took us probably, I want to say, an hour and a half to get there. And it's not like it's that far. Like I said, I could get in a car and get there in 15 minutes. But because of just stopping and waiting and the multiple stops, it takes a while to get there. And of course, you always run the risk of what if the bus doesn't come? And for me, working, like if I'm playing in the parks, okay, whatever. I'll deal with it. But if I have to work, that really stresses me out. So I'm so glad I brought my car, because I could get in the car when I wanted. I didn't have to make sure I left 3 hours just to make sure I could get to work on time. Because as it is, I already left probably an hour and a half time frame for me to get to work, because for me, yes, it's a 15-minute drive to get to cast parking in Epcot if there's no traffic. So let's just say roughly 20 minutes. But then once I get to Epcot, I have to get in, I have to exchange my costumes, and then because you're in Epcot, you have to hop on another bus to either take you to Future World East, which is like the front of the park and anything on that end, or you hop on the West bus, which will take you around the World Showcase, and my stop was halfway through. So that takes some time too. So basically, depending on if you can take a car, if it's realistic, I would suggest it just because I feel like it makes life a lot easier. And there are like grocery stores that the bus will take you to. They'll take you to Walmart. There's actually a outlet mall right behind like the Commons, Patterson, Chatham. Like it's right around that area. So it's very, very close, and there's definitely stuff you could even walk to if you wanted. But personally, I thought it was just nice having a car. With that said, if you are the one friend with a car, you will get asked for rides a lot. Like, a lot. You will be the person that everybody goes to say, hey, can you give me a ride? which isn't a big deal if they're in the complexes, you know, because they're all kind of like together. But sometimes, you know, after work, you just want that peaceful car ride to yourself, because if you're living in the complexes, that is most likely the longest alone time you're gonna get for a while. Overall, that is about all I have to say about parking and the complexes and all of that. And I know that probably was really random and hard to understand, and I was just rambling on about pretty much nothing, but I figured I should film that video even though I planned on filming it like right as I got back. I have a whole bunch of lists on my phone, like of ideas to talk about my Disney College program. I feel like the longer I wait, I'm just gonna forget all about it. But I hope that helped if you are in the process of trying to figure out where you want to stay. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And like I said, for my upcoming Disney trip, I will try to vlog / use my GoPro to film as much as I can. I don't know, the footage that my roommate had with hers was really awesome, so I kind of just want to get some nice good footage to, you know, put some music over and make even better montages, and then kind of in the mornings just sit like this and just talk to you guys about what we're doing. So that is it, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!